How's it going, guys? It's been such a short time since I've made my last Shu ZuoLe video, it feels like. How long has it been actually? I actually forgot. Been a bit busy recently. So I believe most of us has watched the 4.5th anniversary live streams, and we know that we're getting our Shu banner really soon. And obviously, here goes me again, going to have to make a Shu ZuoLe video. And obviously, the answer for this banner is going to be a yes of Shu ZuoLe this banner. And well, I think most of us kind of expected it, and probably a lot of you will be thinking, well, obviously this is a limited banner, of course we're going to pull such a stupid video. But there's actually a lot more to do with like how you should use this operator. Like the title of the video is just a series of stuff, you know, and sometimes I do give a no answer. But like the point of the video is obviously to get into the details of like the how to use the skills, which skills should you M3, if you should unlock your modules, in which situations should you use these operator, or like in what type of content can you use these operator. That's what we're gonna go into. So without further ado say, let's go into our first operator. So first, let's take a look at ZuoLe, which is going to be a Musha. I feel like it's been quite a while since I've ever talked about a Musha operator. The last one was Helga, which was like years ago, looking back at it. So I might as well just talk about the trait of this archetype first. So Musha is one of those block 1, hit 1 operators where they cannot be healed directly. So they cannot be healed by your typical like Hibiscus, you know, Aya, Alta, those type of normal medics, but they can take the recovery abilities such as Scotty Alta or Perfumer's talent. So that's just like Modrock if you're used to that. Also, whenever they attack, every time they hit, they will gain a certain amount of HP. So with this instance, E2 will allow him to get 70 HP per hit. So that's the general way this type of this archetype of operators work. And usually they have this trait of usually the lower their HP, they get a lot of buff, which makes them a bit stronger at low HP, such as Helga getting a lot more attack speed. And when it comes to ZuoLe, it's actually attack speed and SP region. So first of all, let's take a look at his modules. So yes, as you can see, I did not unlock his module, but that is because my CN account is quite poor and I don't do SSS, and that's why I don't have much module blocks. But if you ever want to use ZuoLe, I would highly recommend you to unlock his module and bring it to module level 3. There's a lot of reason to it. Let's talk about it. So first of all, his first talent. Whenever he's on the field, he will gain at most 70 attack speed and 2.3 SP region if his HP drops below 50%. Now, that's module level 3. Without module, it will actually be 50 attack speed and 2 SP per second. And he has to drop 70% of his HP. So it makes his HP will have to be below 30%. So that's already kind of a bummer, to be honest, because they do have low defenses, and bringing their HP down, his HP down to 30% makes him more likely to be one shot. Now his second talent is that whenever he attacks, there's a 20% chance to get 1 extra SP, and whenever his HP is below 50%, the chance becomes 70. The chance of gaining 1 SP is 70%. So combining that with module level 3, which brings his SP region up by 2.3 per second, plus the second talent, you're looking at about 4 SP per second if his HP is below 50%. And with module level 1, he will also gain a new trait where if his HP is below 50%, he will gain 25% Sanctuary, and that is a decrease in physical damage and arcs damage after the defense or resistance calculation. So as you can see, module effect really like brings all of his talents together and just makes him way more usable than without module. And that is why I highly recommend, if you do want to use him ever, bring his module level to level 3. But if you're just like me and you just want to try him out and you don't really want to use him like a lot, you don't really have to. Now let's take a look at his skills. So his first skill is that at M3, it will become a 4 SP skill. It is naturally regen SP and automatically activated. It can charge up to 3 shots at M3. And once activated, his next attack will increase to 200 up to 200%. And if his HP is below 80%, he will get 1 extra shot. If his HP is below 50%, he will get 2 extra shots. So if his HP is below 50%, he will do 3 hits in a row. That looks pretty good, but there's a huge issue with this skill in my opinion, and that is that his attack is way too low. His base attack is way too low, and even if it goes up to 200%, it's still like 1600 attack per hit. And we all know nowadays a lot of enemies has like 1000 defense or something, and it's just not really gonna work as an AFK skill, to be honest. And that is why I just never really bothered with this skill, even though I'm like a huge fan of AFK skills. This one just doesn't really work. Now, his second skill is a lot more interesting, and I would highly recommend if you want to use him. I would make this the second skill you M3. The first one is going to be skill 3, but this skill actually you can go in M3, and that's because once you activate this skill, he will immediately lose 50% of his current HP and gain barrier equivalent to up to 120% of his max HP. So worst case scenario, he will lose 50% of his HP, max HP, so it goes down to 2000 something, 2100, and then he will gain a ton of barrier. And losing 50% of his HP also means that he will immediately max out all of his talent, where you will get you will get more attack speed, you'll get more SP regen, you'll get more you'll get sanctuary, you'll get all of that the moment you activate the skill. Also, it brings down the total SP cost at M3 to 20 SP only. And remember how if his HP is below 50%, it takes about like it makes his SP regen to about 4% if you can hit enemy, 4 SP per second if you can hit an enemy. That basically means it only takes about 5 seconds to charge up his skill 2 once again. Obviously, if he doesn't really get to hit enemies, it will be more like 6-7 seconds ish, but that is still a great skill to use, considering that he will also increase, I forgot to mention the rest of his skill. So he will have increased his attack by 170%, and he will block +1 enemies. So he'll block 2 enemies, and he can attack the amount of enemy that he can block. So he will become a block 2, hit 2 operator for the 12 seconds of his skill duration. So it's a 12-second duration, and then a 7-second cooldown at worst, if you see it that way. So in general, you can think of it like a mountain, perhaps, which basically is pretty good, except that there is a 7-second downtime, and the fact that you have to activate his skill once every 20-second-ish, because the skill cycle is actually so short. So that's the only downside. But if you actually look at the ability that he can, hit, his damage is actually a bit higher than Mountain. His HP regen, if you count the barrier, is actually a bit higher than Mountain as well, considering that his SP regen is actually so short, so he can activate his skills so quickly. The total HP, quote unquote, regen is actually a bit better than Mountain as well, if you look at it that way. So, you can actually give it a try if you do want to use him. I just wouldn't, because you have to click his skill all the time. It's just not really something that I enjoy. Now, his skill 3 is even more interesting. So as we all can see, once activated, he will immediately attack in front of him 7 times in a row, and the range is 3 tiles in front of him. And every time he will attack up to 3 enemies, each dealing 245% of his attack as physical damage. And the last combo of the 7 hits will also will also be double the attack, double the damage, and stun the enemy for 5 seconds. Within the duration, so the 7 hit, which takes about, I think, less than 2 seconds in total to deal all the damage, that is 7 shots, his trait of recovering HP will become recovering barrier and at 3 times the rate. So every time he hits an enemy, it's 210 barrier, 210 for 7 hits. And because he hits 3 enemies at once, he can go up to over 4,000 barrier with 1 activation of his skill 3. And obviously you can also count in for the fact that if you drop his HP low before like you activate his skill, because don't forget this skill doesn't decrease his HP, so you gotta let enemies hit him first, and then you activate the skill and then start generating shield. But the moment you have shield, when he takes attacks, he actually cuts down his shield. But when he attacks in his skill downtime, he recovers HP. So then as he attacks more enemy, when his skill isn't activated, he would recover more HP and makes him weaker, which is a bit of an awkward situation, which is one of the biggest reasons why you don't really use him. In that situation, I would just, you know, make his HP go down and put him behind like a Sario or something and just activate his skill, even though it's like he isn't getting the SP from normal attack, which is like 4 SP per second at max. But even without it, he's still got 3.3 SP generation per second, including the module. Only 3 SP if you don't have the module. And so it makes him a bit of a more consistent damage dealer, and a good stun operator, because the 5-second stun is really good. Oh, right. That's right. I used him with the collectibles in IS so that he can double his stun duration. That was so good. That's why I M3'd him. Right. That's beside the point. So you get it. Skill 3 is a bit harder to use because you gotta control his HP like properly to make the most out of his skill 3. But if you're willing to put in the work, skill 3 is actually kind of fun to play with, and I would actually highly recommend, if you do want to use him, M3 skill 3 first. So that is it for ZuoLe. I think that's all I have to mention. We'll talk about his usage later on after we're done with Shu. Next we have Shu, which is our limited operator this time around, and as we all know, she is Zarya archetype, so she's a defender that heals. And obviously right here I don't have my module, and that is definitely not something that you should do. I would highly recommend module level 3. I don't know why I haven't done that. I use her in IS5 all the time, but let's go over why you should and why I should bring her to module level 3 later on. Now, first of all, let's take a look at her talent. Her first talent is that when she heals an operator, the tile that the operator is on and the 4 adjacent tiles next to it will have this seed effect, and this seed has the effect of 70 HP recovery per second and 10% sanctuary. Now, this is the kind of HP recovery that acts like Scotty Alter's recovery, so it works for like operators like Modrock and ZuoLe, obviously. And now if you bring that to module level 3, you will become 80 HP per second recovery and 15% sanctuary. Now, as we all know, sanctuary usually has a lot of limitations around them. Like if we had Silence Altar, it would be the HP needs to be below 40% if I recall correctly. And then this just works all the time for 15%, which is just incredible. And if you have module level 3, it will become 85 HP per second and 17% sanctuary all the time. And 85 HP per second is like Scotty Altar, just sitting there for free for everyone, that like all the tiles and the tiles next to them that she has healed operators on, which is a huge area, because even though her skill 3 has the same healing area as Zarya does, but because of how the way the seed will spread, you actually get like one more layer of potential healing capable area, which is just incredible. Now, that talent is already like pretty good, right? You would think, well, there's no way second talent could always like as well be good. Nope. Second talent is also incredible. But I almost forgot about this. On module level 3, there's actually an additional feature where the moment you place down Shu, the tile that she lands on also get the seed. That's an extra effect, and that is actually pretty good, because when the moment she's deployed, she gains 15% sanctuary on deploy, which makes her far more tankier than Zarya is. And that's why I actually use her skill 1 instead of Zarya skill 1 nowadays for AFK as well. So yeah, I would highly recommend you to module level 3 her. I don't know why I haven't. Back to talent 2. So with talent 2, when she's on the field and there is 3 different class of operators on the field at the same time, then all operators will have plus 12% max HP. So this is just straight up, everyone gets max HP basically most of the time because of how easy it is to trigger this. Also, if 3 operators of the same class are on the field at the same time, all operators gets plus 12 attack speed. So as we all know, attack speed is something that is really awesome in this game, and like a lot of module gives like what, 7 attack speed, she gives 12 to everyone. Just incredible stat. And then if you have 4 Chinese New Year limited operators in your squad, so they don't need to be on the field, they just need to be in the squad. So it's operators like Nian, Dusk, Ling, Chongyue, and Shu. If you have 4 out of 5 of them in your squad, all operators will also gain plus 12% attack and gain 1 SP every 4 seconds. So this is basically what will make Chongyue like way more versatile. You get the more attack speed, so he can charge faster. You got the extra SP once every 4 seconds, so even if there's no enemies, you can still charge up Chongyue. You get the max HP, so it makes him like less squishy kind of. Everything is just perfect when it comes to this second talent. And plus upon that, we get her skills. Let's talk about her skills. So her skill 1 is, well, really familiar. This is basically just Zarya skill 1, the exact same stat. We can just gloss over this. Now, her second talent is somewhat similar to whose skill 2 is it? It's Blemishine. Yes, Blemishine. So she will, no, not Blemishine. It is Nero. Yes, Nero. What was I thinking? Nero skill 2, where they will stop attacking and focus on healing allies. But instead of healing only 1 ally, she will heal 2, and she has plus 120% attack, which makes her healing really good. She will have also get 1 extra block counts, makes her block 4, and her first talent effect is increased to 1.5 times. That will mean 22.5% sanctuary and a ton of HP healing per second. And the thing is, with that much amount of sanctuary, you can basically use her like your typical defenders like Hoshi and Nian, because she's so much more tankier now. And her healing is also like one of the best in the game, actually higher than what Nero can provide, if I recall correctly. I think it ends up being like over 600 healing HP per second, which is just insane. And as you can see, the cooldown is only 25 seconds as well, which makes it a really rapidly activated skill. The only reason I M3'd this is because I thought there was going to be some situation where, you know, third skill, as you can see, has 45 SP. I thought that would take too long, and maybe there would be some situations where I need this shorter duration but faster cooldown skill 2 for healing. But I don't think that ended up being a case, so you don't really have to M3 skill 2 personally, in my opinion. Oh, by the way, M3 skill 1. I think that's a really good skill. I use it all the time. So with skill 2, I don't really think you need to M3 it. I will still do it in case someday, but you know, you don't really have to. Now, this is the big deal. Skill 3. So she will have increased healing areas similar to the Zarya skill 3's area, actually the exact same healing area. Her attack will also heal allied units at the same time. So that means she's not only healing at the same time, but she's also attacking. So healing and attacking is the same thing for her now. She has plus 50% attack, which makes her like quite capable when it comes to dealing damage. And if there are enemies within the seed tiles that she has like made by healing operators, then all ally units, not operators, will have plus 25% attack, plus 25 attack speed. This is different from the plus 12 that you get in the talent they stack. And when the enemy walks through one of those tiles, they will be teleported back to the center of the tile that actuated, like the moment, like the one, the first tile that actuates them stepping on the green tile and the skill activation. So let's say, as an example, if you already had a seed tile on the ground and enemies walks through it before, after you've activated the skill, then they will be teleported to that one block only, one tile only. But let's say if you have several tiles of these seeds, and let's say they walk onto the second tile, and then you activate the skill, they will be teleported back to the second tile. Now, this will teleport them when they are 2 tiles away. So usually if it's M2 or below, it's 3 tiles, well, technically speaking, it's 1 tile. So it's the, how should I explain it? So the moment they walk past a distance of 1 tile, they will be teleported back. So even though it says 2 tile in the skill description, it's more like 1 tile, but with M2 or below, even though it says 3 tiles, it's more like 2 tiles in absolute distance. So you'll have to calculate the distance between the center of the tile and where the enemy is right now. And it's a complicated math, so I don't want to explain it in this video here, but you get the point. So you definitely want to M3 for the shorter distance that the enemy can travel, so you can block them. Now, let's separately talk about all 3 of these skills. First of all, the healing. This healing is currently the highest healing capability in the entirety of the game. I think it sums up to about 1400 heal per second, including her talent and getting all the buff from her talent too and whatnot, and the seed tiles that she makes. 1400 heal per second. If you don't get what that means, basically at skill level 7, she can solo heal Surtur with skill 3 activated. So within this 30 seconds, even if Surtur is already activated her skill and she's dropping her HP at the max speed, skill level 7 Shu can heal her back up and keep her alive for this 30-second duration of this skill 3. And that's skill level 7. This is the highest healing capable operator in the game right now. Plus, you see the plus 25% attack and plus 25 attack speed. Well, these work together, and basically, usually if you're, I think your Mlinar has 23 hits during his skill 3. With this 25% attack speed, it becomes 29 hits. And if you have also the talent buff that buffs another 12 attack speed, it's a total of 32 hits. So that's a 9 hit increase from 23 for Mlinar alone. And if you use it to, you can, don't forget, you can buff a lot of operators at the same time. A lot of operators on the same time. So basically, this is equivalent to Shu ZuoLe buff, if you think about it. Huge area and teleportation and a bit of healing, except better in pretty much all ways, and tons of healing. Incredible. And then you get the teleportation effect, which is something that is just stupidly strong. Okay, this is the type of teleportation where it doesn't only affect enemies that walk by you, it also affects enemies that teleport away from you. So I'll give a more reasonable example, like Mephisto, the bird one, you know, where it teleports around on the field and then you have to kill it within like some period of time or it will teleport away. Well, if Mephisto is affected by Shu's skill 3, the moment it teleports, it will teleport right back to where it was. So you can keep dealing damage. That is how broken this skill is. It nullifies a lot of the effects, a lot of mechanics in the game. IS4 ending 2 the boss runs away, teleports it right back. There is no such thing as teleportation immunity other than, I think if they go through staircases, if they go through staircases, the seed effect will be removed. But like that is so rare of a situation. Like most mechanics you can just counter with this. Shu is just the most broken operator in my opinion when it comes to utility, and I don't think there's anyone to match even right now in CEN. So 100%, if you're pulling for this banner, you cannot get ZuoLe. Don't get me wrong, you gotta get Shu. She is the operator that you want to get this time around. So hopefully I've helped you guys made up your mind of who you want to pull, and let's talk about how they each work in each mode. So first of all, I would like to mention your normal content. So your event stages, your EX stages, all of those. Shu is definitely way better than like anyone that you can grab. She basically replaces Zarya with her skill 1 if you want to go with AFK. Her skill 3 is just incredible when it comes to buffing and then teleportation and then removing, like dealing with mechanics. So Shu is just perfect in this case. ZuoLe is also actually a great operator to use in normal mode because most enemies actually don't have the ability to kill him. So especially if those enemies aren't resistant, doesn't have stun resistance, ZuoLe is actually great at dealing with most enemies when it comes to normal content. And when it comes to IS, I think Shu is also a great pick. Usually she is my first pick when it comes to defenders in IS4 and IS5 nowadays. So 100% I would recommend her. And she just deals with so many mechanics in IS. It's just unbelievable. ZuoLe on the other hand, I would only recommend you grab him if you have one of those increased CC duration skills, which goes perfectly with his skill 3. And if you have those SP region collectibles, it also works really well with him as well. So you only grab him when you got the collectibles, in my opinion. Grabbing him early on, sure, he can do like a few early stages, but you might screw up really quick. So I wouldn't really recommend him as a starter. SSS is something that I haven't really done much before, but I think when it comes to Shu, you can always just use her as your normal defender anyway. So if you want to stack some defenders for stalling, Shu is perfectly fine. ZuoLe is actually someone I don't have much experience when it comes to SSS, but seeing how that he only hits 1, blocks 1, and you will need to activate his skill quite frequently, like personally, I wouldn't really recommend him because I don't really like to activate skills way too many times when it comes to SSS. Obviously in CC, Shu with her teleportation, I believe someday we will get used in her. And I think with ZuoLe, he's too weak when it comes to dealing with decreased attack tags. So I don't think he will work too well. And like if we are going to go with stun, crowd control in in CCs, he only can hit 3 enemies with his skill 3. So it isn't really like your AoE stun as well. So yeah, I don't really see him in use in CC as much. I think that's about it for all the content, and hopefully you have made your mind when it comes to if you want to pull this banner and who you want to pull. Obviously we've got, spoiler alert, another limited banner shortly coming for Rainbow Six Siege collab. So I kind of understand if people want to save for that collab, because technically speaking Shu isn't really limited, if you get what I mean. So tell me what you're up to and tell me if you plan on pulling down in the description, and I will see you guys in the next one where I miserably fail to pull this banner because ZuoLe will not come because I tell people not to pull him. Great. Bye.